Hello, it's Rachel from 7 and All, and today I am going to be sharing our homeschool's summer plans as well as some life updates with you. And no, it's not clickbait. I really do have some big, exciting news that I'm going to share with you today. Alright, let's get started. Summer plans. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you guys already done with school for the school year? Are you doing something special for your summer homeschooling plans? Let me know. I love to hear about how each family does it and just how our certain lives and circumstances shape our homeschool throughout the seasons and the years. But if you are new to my channel, I am a second-generation homeschooler with 2 young sons, homeschooling my boys overseas. And my husband is a teacher. And the school that he teaches at actually follows a pretty typical American schedule with a summer break. So if you have followed my channel the past couple of years, you'll know that the past 2 summers were rather adventurous and rather exciting. In summer 2021, we planned to go to the US, and that was our first trip back in 4 years. It ended up being very dramatic, if everyone remembers what was going on with international travel in 2021. We ended up with mandatory hotel quarantines at the beginning and at the end of that trip in 2021 with young toddlers. It was kind of crazy. We're still glad we made the trip and made some good memories, invested in our kids' relationships with our family, but that was kind of crazy. Then fast forward to summer 2022, last year, if you are following me, you might remember I announced a very adventurous plan. Let's just take it up a notch. You know, the previous summer was too tame. A very adventurous plan in which I was going to take my boys to the US for 4 months. My husband's break from school is only about 6 weeks. So he was there with us for about a month and a half, and then for over 2 months, I was in the US with my 2 boys and my extended family. My parents were there, my sisters, and I have a lot of relatives. I have a large extended family. That's pretty much what we were doing in the US, was traveling around and staying with my aunts and uncles and visiting cousins and just going around adventuring and really investing in those connections and relationships and letting my kids see a side of the world that is not their home, not what they know about. So that's, just for context, that's what we did our last 2 summer breaks. So what is the 7 and All family doing for summer 2023? Well, this year we're doing something a little bit different, and we're going to be sticking a whole lot closer to home. We have no grand travel plans for this summer. My husband is going to have his usual work break, although it's actually going to be a little bit shorter than normal because he's opting to do some summer teaching, make a little bit of extra money. He does have a shorter summer break, but it works out good for us because we're not planning on going anywhere anyways. After a lot of travel those 2 summers, I'm still very happy to be staying home, but there's actually a bigger reason why we are sticking close to home, and that is that I am expecting a baby, and that's my big news, my big announcement. At the time that I'm filming this, I'm about 11 weeks along, which is still early, still first trimester, but also, you know, it's been like 7 weeks since we found out. For most of April and May, I've been homeschooling and doing all of life through all the first trimester symptoms. So that is a big a lot of that's connected to why we are sticking close to home this summer. I know you guys probably know a lot of pregnant women who, you know, run marathons while they're pregnant or go on international trips with their families and their kids while pregnant and do all sorts of impressive and adventurous things. And that is just not me. I am not adventurous at all when I am pregnant. I stay close to home. I feel pretty sick. I tend to feel pretty fragile. I think all of us are very much shaped by our experiences, and my experiences with pregnancy have not led me to feel adventurous during this season. They just haven't. You know, some people have very different experiences. want to feel safe. I want to feel close to my home, close to my doctor. My favorite place right these days is pretty much in bed with a book. And I am reminding my husband that during normal seasons of life, I'm extremely high energy and adventurous and always wanting to do things, so don't get used to this. He could probably get used to me having my energy levels tempered. But yeah, that's part of our summer homeschool plans and why we are sticking around home, not planning any big adventures, not planning anything dramatic this summer, is because we're in a new season of life and expecting our much prayed for, much hoped for, much awaited child, and hopeful and praying that the rest of this pregnancy will continue to progress well. Now, that being said, as far as actual homeschool, we typically do follow, since my husband is a teacher, we tend to follow his school year for the most part. If he's at work teaching, we're pretty much doing schoolwork at home, roughly. That just seems to make common sense for us. And if he's off work, we tend to take our breaks at that time. However, with the summer break being longer and with us being home and not having plans to go anywhere, it kind of seems like, well, we just might as well do school, because I tend to be one that's like, unless there's like a reason to not do school, let's just do school. There's no reason not to. So because of staying home, I do plan that probably pretty much through the summer, we'll be continuing with our typical school routine. Because we were traveling for an extended summer last year, we only started our school year in October, which means that the new school books that we started, like Kindergarten Math with Confidence, like our science program with Gentle and Classical Nature, those programs that we started in October, we're not actually fully completed with them yet. We're getting really close. We're about maybe 2 to 3 weeks out with most of those curriculums. We're actually really close to the end. Sunlight, which is below the camera level. Sunlight P, we have a couple weeks left. Sunlight T is already finished because that one was only 30 weeks. So we're kind of in that phase where our curriculum is slowly phasing out the levels that we were in for this year. And my plan is that just whenever we finish, which will probably end up looking sometime in June, I'll just start rolling into the next level. And we'll do those throughout the summer. Now, will we do school every day? Probably not. If there's days when my husband's like, hey, I want to take the kids out to this park and wear them out all day long, and I'll be like, that's great. I'm just going to stay home in my bed with my book and not be out in the sun all day long. I imagine that there's going to be days that go like that, especially with my husband being off work. But if we have days that we're not planning to go anywhere, do anything, we'll just keep on doing school, because it does, especially with my kids being so young, having that structure, having those expectations, having some kind of plan for the day really does help our days to go smoothly. With a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, I have not found that it goes well to be like, okay kids, we're gonna stay home the whole day and I have no idea what we're gonna do. It really helps to have just a plan, and schoolwork is just such an easy plan. It's easy to open the books and go along with that. So that's our plan. We're going to be rolling into some of the new levels. We'll be starting first grade Math with Confidence. We'll be starting Sunlight Science in a couple of weeks. I'm very excited about starting that. We're getting close to being done with level 1 of All About Reading, moving into that. So that's all for my older son. My younger son actually just started in his preschool curriculum of Gentle and Classical Preschool. He's on Unit 2, or just finished Unit 2 as I'm filming this, so we're just going to keep rolling with that. My kids wake up every morning and the first thing they ask for is, okay, I want my eggs and my books. This is their deeply ingrained tradition that they have breakfast and story time as soon as they wake up. So they are very excited for that. And as far as how homeschool has been going with being pregnant, I have been feeling pretty bad this first trimester. However, I have not really found that it's hurt homeschool all that much, because it seems like of all the things that are my responsibility and all the things that I do, homeschool is one of the most doable, if that makes sense. You know, sitting at a table and doing the math activity feels doable. What doesn't feel so doable is standing out there in that hot, steaming kitchen in the afternoon with hot stove and smells, and that's what feels like super overwhelmingly awful. So responsibilities like cooking for my family have been a big struggle. But responsibilities like just sitting down and reading to them and doing their schoolwork with them, that has been a lot more doable. Everyone has a very different experience, as I said, but as someone who has come from a background of struggling to get pregnant and struggling to stay pregnant, and having a history with threatened miscarriage with my second son and preterm labor and all these things, like I just want to say, it's like I am super grateful. I am holding this with so much gratitude. Something funny about me, one of my quirks is I count all the days of pregnancy, because it's like each day is so precious. And I just want to honor each and every day of this journey that we get to have with this little one. So sharing this exciting news, as well as our plans and why we are planning on a lower key summer, which it's all connected. It's all connected. I don't go on adventures during this season of life. We'll see about it in other years. All right, let me know your plans for the summer. I'll be seeing you. Bye.